What does it mean to focus on yourself? Most people misunderstand this entirely. They believe it means to look at their flaws, to analyze their shortcomings, to dwell on their problems. But I tell you, this is not focusing on yourself at all. This is focusing on what you believe yourself to be, which is an illusion created by past experiences and limited thinking. To truly focus on yourself means to focus on the God within you. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you. The real you is not this body, not this personality with its likes and dislikes, not this collection of memories and habits. The real you is the God presence animating your being. The real you is infinite consciousness having a human experience. When I tell you to focus on yourself, I am telling you to focus on this divine presence within you. I am telling you to recognize that you are not a man or woman seeking spiritual attainment. You are the Spirit itself seeking expression through the vehicle of your humanity. Let me share with you a simple story. A man came to me once deeply troubled about his financial situation. He had tried everything, working harder, investing wisely, seeking better opportunities, yet he remained in lack. I asked him a simple question: who are you? He began to tell me about his profession, his family background, his education. I stopped him and said, those are things you do and roles you play. I asked who you are. After a moment of confusion, I explained to him that he was approaching his problem from the limited identity he had accepted for himself. He was trying to change his financial situation while maintaining the consciousness of someone who lacks. I told him, instead of focusing on getting more money, focus on being the person who already has abundance, for it is a law that no one can receive what he does not already have in consciousness. Now, how do you focus on the God within? Through the most powerful words in existence, I am. Whatever follows these two words shapes your reality. Most people use these words unconsciously, saying, I am tired, I am broke, I am unlucky, not realizing they are setting these conditions into motion. To focus on yourself truly means to be vigilant about what you attach to your I am. For your I am is your consciousness, and your consciousness creates your reality. This is not positive thinking or affirmations. This is the revelation of your true nature and the conscious use of the creative power that you already possess. When you say I am, you are proclaiming the presence of God. For this is the name God revealed to Moses from the burning bush. I am that I am. You cannot separate yourself from God, for your awareness of being your consciousness is God in action. Therefore, to focus on yourself means to focus on controlling what follows I am in your mind and speech. It means to be aware of the state of consciousness you are occupying moment by moment. Are you dwelling in a state of lack or a state of abundance, a state of illness or a state of health, a state of loneliness or a state of love? Whatever state you occupy, that is what you are calling forth into manifestation. Now let us discuss what it means to shift your energy. Many teach that you must push against negative energy, fight it, overcome it. I tell you that what you resist persists. You cannot fight darkness. With darkness, you can only illuminate it with light. To shift your energy means to shift your state of consciousness. It means to move from one state to another. And how do you do this? Not by force, not by willpower, not by positive thinking. You do it through the wonderful human faculty of imagination. Your imagination is the gateway between the visible and the invisible, between the world of effects and the world of causes. Through your imagination, you can enter any state whatsoever. And once you enter a state and dwell there, it must objectify itself in your outer experience. This is law. Let me tell you a simple technique. When you find yourself in an undesirable state, perhaps feeling anxious or angry or lacking first, you become aware of it. Do not judge it or fight it. Simply observe, I am currently dwelling in a state of anxiety. Then close your eyes and ask yourself, what would it feel like if I were calm and centered? Do not answer intellectually, feel it. How would your breathing change? How would your posture shift? How would the muscles in your face relax? As you begin to feel these sensations, you are shifting your energy. You are moving from one state to another. And as you persist in this new state, the outer world must reorganize itself to match your inner reality. A young woman once told me she had been seeking love for years without success. Every relationship ended in disappointment. I asked her to describe how she felt about herself. She revealed that deep down she felt unworthy of true love. I told her that she could go on 1,000 days, but as long as she dwelled in the state of unworthiness, she would attract experiences that confirm this belief. Instead, I suggested she shift her energy by imagining every night before sleep how it would feel to be deeply loved and cherished. Not visualizing a specific person, but feeling the state of being loved. Within 2 months, she met someone who treated her with the very love and respect she had been imagining. Her outer world rearranged itself to match her new inner state. There is a state I wish to discuss with you that is essential to mastering the art of focusing on yourself and shifting your energy. In Scripture, it is called the Sabbath. Most interpret this the day of the week, but I tell you the Sabbath is a state of consciousness. To enter the Sabbath means to rest from your labors. It means to stop trying to make things happen and instead dwell in the consciousness that it is already done. When God completed creation, He rested not because He was tired, but because the work was finished. There was nothing more to do. When you truly focus on yourself, on the God presence within you, and shift your energy to a desired state, you must then enter the Sabbath. You must rest in the absolute conviction that what you have embodied in consciousness is now a done deal in the invisible realm. And it is only a matter of time before it appears in the visible. Most people sabotage their manifestations because they cannot enter the Sabbath state. They keep checking to see if it's working. They keep trying to make it happen. They keep looking at the absence of their desire in the outer world and then falling back into the old state of consciousness. I tell you, the secret is to persist in your new state until it feels natural to you, and then to rest in the knowledge that the seed has been planted and must, by law, bear fair fruit in due season. This is what it means to truly focus on yourself and shift your energy. Now, there is an aspect of focusing on yourself that many find challenging, and that is detachment from specific outcomes. When I speak of focusing on yourself, I am not suggesting that you focus on getting specific things or achieving specific results. I am suggesting that you focus on being the person who already has the essence of what you desire. For example, if you desire financial abundance, the focus should not be on the specific amount of money or how it will come to you. The focus should be on embodying the consciousness of abundance, feeling the freedom, the gratitude, the security that abundance brings. This is why Jesus taught, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." The kingdom is not a place, it is a state of consciousness. When you dwell in the right state, when you focus on being rather than getting, the outer forms will take care of themselves. A businessman once approached me desperate for a particular deal that would save his company. He had been pushing, manipulating, worrying about this deal for months. I told him the reason it hasn't manifested is that you are dwelling in the consciousness of desperation and lack. Instead of focusing on this specific deal, focus on embodying the feeling of being a successful businessman with a thriving company. He followed my advice and something interesting happened. The deal he had been pursuing fell through. But within weeks, a much better opportunity presented itself, one that he couldn't have imagined or orchestrated through his own efforts. This is the power of focusing on the state of consciousness rather than the specific outcome. One of the most powerful ways to focus on yourself and shift your energy is to practice what I call living from the end. This means you imagine that you have already achieved your desire, and you live each day from that consciousness. If you desire a loving relationship, you live as though you are already in that loving relationship. How would you think? How would you feel? How would you move through your day? You embody these qualities now, not waiting for the relationship to appear. If you desire greater success in your career, you live from the consciousness of already being successful. You make decisions, speak, and act as that successful person would, not as someone striving to become successful. This is not pretending or deceiving yourself. This is embodying the true nature of reality. What is now appearing in your life is the result of past states of consciousness. The state you occupy now is creating your future. A teacher once came to me unhappy with her position at a small school with limited resources. She wanted to teach at a prestigious institution where she could have a greater impact. I instructed her to mentally construct a scene that would imply she had already achieved this desire. She imagined herself in a faculty meeting at her ideal school, hearing a colleague address her by name and congratulate her on her innovative teaching methods. She persisted in this imagination until it felt completely natural to her. Within 6 months, without any direct action on her, she was invited to interview at one of the very institutions she had desired. The hiring committee told her they had heard about her innovative methods from a mutual colleague Her inner experience had preceded and created the outer reality. Now, I wish to share with you a powerful technique for shifting your energy when past events seem to hold you in an undesirable state. This technique is called revision. Most people believe that the past is fixed and unchangeable, but I tell you that what you call the past exists only in your consciousness. It has no reality outside of your memory of it, and since it exists in your consciousness, it can be altered. Revision is not denying what happened in the physical world. It is changing your memory and interpretation of the event, which changes its effect on your present consciousness. For instance, if you had a difficult confrontation with someone that left you feeling angry or hurt, you can revise it. Before you sleep, replay the scene in your imagination, but this time see it unfold the way you wish it had happened. Feel the understanding, the harmony, the resolution that you desire. Do this until the revised version feels more real to you than the original memory. What this does is shift your energy from a state of resentment or pain to a state of peace. And since your outer world reflects your inner state, this revised inner experience will create new outer experiences that match it. A client of mine had a strained relationship with his father based on years of perceived criticism and emotional distance. I taught him the revision technique, and he began to revise their interactions each night. In his imagination, he heard his father expressing pride in him, felt the warmth of his father's embrace, experienced the ease of their communication. Within weeks, he noticed subtle changes in their actual interactions. His father seemed less critical, more open. My client realized that by changing his own perception and expectation, by shifting his energy, he had created space for a new relationship to emerge. The past hadn't changed in fact, but it had changed in effect, which is all that matters. The foundation of focusing on yourself and shifting your energy is what I call the law of assumption. This law states that if you assume you are what you want to be and continue in that assumption will harden into fact. This is not wishful thinking. This is not pretending. This is understanding that consciousness is the only reality, and whatever stage you occupy in consciousness must objectify itself in your experience. When you truly grasp this law, you realize that there is nothing to change in the outer world. All change must begin within your own consciousness, as within, so without, as above, so below. I had a student who had struggled with poverty consciousness her entire life. Despite having a good education and various opportunities, she constantly worried about money, felt guilty about spending, and believed deep down that financial security was for others, not for her. I taught her to assume the state of financial abundance, not by changing her actions first, but by changing her consciousness. She began to feel the relief, the ease, the gratitude that comes with having more than enough. She embodied this state faithfully, despite no immediate evidence in her outer world. Within 6 months, her financial situation transformed dramatically. An unexpected promotion, an inheritance she knew nothing about, and opportunities to earn additional income all flowed into her life. But more importantly, her relationship with money changed. She no longer lived in fear of lack. She had shifted her energy through the law of assumption, and her world reflected this new state. As we deepen our understanding of focusing on yourself, we must address the fundamental question: who do you believe yourself to be? For your self-concept, your concept of self determines everything in your experience. Most people derive their self-concept from their past experiences, their environment, the opinions of others. But I tell you, your true self-concept should come from within, from your imagination, from your choice of who you want to be. Your self-concept is made up of all the assumptions you hold about yourself. I am intelligent. I am creative. I am loving. I am worthy. These are not affirmations. They are states of consciousness that you can choose to occupy. When you focus on yourself, the true self, not the personality you are focusing on, consciously choosing and embodying the self concept that serves your highest expression. A young actor came to me frustrated by his inability to land significant roles. He had talent and training, but continued to receive rejections. In our conversation, I discovered that he saw himself as an aspiring actor, someone trying to break in, a person who needs to prove himself. I explained that as long as this was his self-concept, this would be his experience. Instead, I suggested he revise his self-concept to I am a talented actor in demand. I am someone directors are eager to work with. I am recognized for my unique abilities. He began to embody this new self-concept, not just in auditions, but in every aspect of his life. He walked, spoke, made decisions as this new version of himself. Within several months, his career took a dramatic turn. The roles he was offered changed in quality. The way industry professionals treated him shifted. He had focused on himself, on being the person he desired to be in consciousness, and his outer world rearranged itself accordingly. When you truly understand how to focus on yourself and shift your energy, you begin to operate beyond the limitations of time and space, because consciousness is not bound by physical laws, and consciousness is the only reality. This means that what seems impossible in a three-dimensional world becomes possible in the fourth dimension of consciousness. Distances collapse, time accelerates or slows according to your state, and seeming miracles become natural occurrences. I recall a woman who came to me desperately wanting to reunite with her son, from whom she had been estranged for years. He lived across the country and had explicitly told her he wanted no contact. The situation seemed hopeless from logical perspective. I instructed her to shift her consciousness to a state where reconciliation had already occurred. Each night, she would imagine receiving a phone call from her son, hearing his voice expressing love and a desire to rebuild their relationship. She would feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude of this restoration. After faithfully embodying this state for several weeks, something remarkable happened. Her son, with no outward prompting, had a sudden change of heart. He called her on his own initiative, just as he had imagined, expressing a desire to heal their relationship. What could not be accomplished through external effort was effortlessly achieved through a shift in consciousness. This is the true meaning of Jesus' teaching. With men, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. God, your own wonderful human imagination, functioning from the depth of your consciousness, knows no limitations. As we explore the art of shifting your energy, we must emphasize the absolute importance of feeling, for it is not your thoughts that create your reality. It is the feeling associated with those thoughts. You can repeat affirmations all day long, but if they are not accompanied by the feeling of their fulfillment, they remain empty words. You can visualize desired outcomes in great detail, but if you cannot feel their reality, they remain distant pictures. Feeling is the secret. Feeling is the creative power. When I speak of shifting your energy, I am speaking primarily of shifting your feeling tone, your emotional state. How do you cultivate the feeling of your wish fulfilled? By using your imagination to construct a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire, and then stepping into that scene so completely that it provokes the theories you would experience if your desire were already a fact. A physician struggling with burnout came to me seeking a more balanced life. He intellectually knew what he wanted: more time with family, less stress, a more sustainable practice, but he couldn't break free from his schedule and constant exhaustion. I asked him, if you were living that balanced life now, what would be the feeling that would permeate your days? He thought for a moment and said, peace. I would feel peaceful. His assignment was not to change his external circumstances immediately, but to cultivate the feeling of peace, regardless of his outer conditions. To enter the state of peace through his imagination multiple times throughout the day. As he faithfully practiced this, he reported something interesting. Ideas began to come to him, ways to restructure his practice, conversations he needed to have, boundaries he needed to set. But these ideas didn't come from stress or desperation. They emerged naturally from his new state of peace. Within 3 months, the structure of his work had transformed, and the balanced life he had imagined was now his daily reality. This is how true change occurs, not by manipulating externals, but by shifting your feeling state, which then naturally reorganizes the externals to match it. Now, I want to speak to you about the value of focusing on yourself in terms that you might not have considered before. In the scriptures, there is a parable about a merchant seeking fine pearls. When he found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had, bought it. This pearl of great price is the discovery of your own consciousness as the creative power in your life. Most people spend their entire lives seeking outside themselves for the causes of their experiences, blaming circumstances, other people, faith, luck, or God for what happens to them. But when you discover that your own consciousness, your own focus and energy is creating everything you experience, you have found the pearl of great price, and it is worth relinquishing all external seeking to possess this one great truth. When you truly focus on yourself, you are focusing on the only creative power in your universe. When you shift your energy, you are shifting the very substance from which your reality is formed. A gentleman who had attended my lectures for years approached me after experiencing a profound breakthrough. He said, "For decades, I've been reading spiritual books, attending workshops, following teachers, always looking for the key to transformation. Now I realize I've been looking in the wrong direction. The key was never out there, it was within me all along. My consciousness is the key." This man had found his pearl of great price. And from that realization, he began to consciously create his life rather than react to it. He focused on himself, not in an egotistical way, but in recognition that the kingdom of heaven is within and his entire experience of life transformed. As you embark on this journey of focusing on yourself and shifting your energy, you must understand that there will be a pruning process. Jesus said, "Every branch in me that bears not fruit, he take it away. And every branch that bears fruit, he purges it that it may bring forth more fruit." This means that as you shift to higher states of consciousness, certain elements of your old life may fall away. Relationships that were based on your old state may dissolve. Circumstances that matched your old energy may change or disappear. Habits and patterns that were expressions of your former consciousness may be purged. This pruning is not punishment, it is preparation for greater expression. Just as a gardener prunes a tree not to harm it, but to direct its energy toward more fruitful growth, so too are the elements of your life rearranged as you shift your consciousness. Do not resist this pruning. Do not cling to the old out of fear or familiarity. Trust that what falls away is making room for the new expressions that will match your new state of being. I remember a successful corporate executive who began to shift her consciousness toward greater authenticity and creative expression. As she embodied this new state, she found herself increasingly uncomfortable in her high-paying but unfulfilling role. Eventually, she made the decision to leave her position despite having no clear alternative lined up. Many thought she had lost her mind, but she understood that she was experiencing the necessary pruning that accompanied her shift in consciousness. Within 6 months, she had established her own consultancy doing work that deeply fulfilled her creative needs, and she was earning more than her corporate role. The old had to be pruned away to make room for the new expression of her shifted energy. I want you to consider your consciousness as a symphony. Each thought, each feeling, each state you occupy is like a note in the symphony. When you focus on yourself and consciously shift your energy, you are essentially becoming the conductor of this symphony rather than a passive listener. Most people allow their mental symphony to play chaotically notes of worry, hope, fear, occasional joy, frequent anxiety, and sporadic peace all jumbled together. The result is a discordant experience of reality, but when you take control as the conductor, you can create harmony. You can emphasize certain notes, notes of love, abundance, health, peace, and diminish others. You can establish rhythms and patterns that produce a beautiful life experience. This is not about suppressing negative thoughts or pretending difficulties don't exist. It is about consciously choosing which states of consciousness you will dwell in, which you will give life to through your attention and feeling. I worked with an artist who complained of creative blocks and inconsistent inspiration. When we explored his mental patterns, we discovered that his consciousness was a chaotic mix of self-doubt, occasional confidence, fear of judgment, moments of creative freedom, worry about finances, and brief periods of artistic flow. I taught him to become the conductor of his consciousness, to deliberately enter and sustain the state of creative flow, to give more attention and energy to the notes of confidence and inspiration. As he practiced this, his creative expression became more consistent, more powerful, and interestingly, more financially rewarding. He had harmonized his internal symphony, and his outer life reflected this new arrangement. As we near the conclusion of our discussion on focusing on yourself and shifting your energy, I want to address the spiritual dimension of this practice. For when you truly focus on yourself, on the God presence within you, you are entering into a devoutness-ship. This is not about ego or self-aggrandizement. It is about recognizing you are a unique expression of the divine with the creative power of the universe flowing through you. Your consciousness is not separate from God's consciousness. It is an individualized expression of it. When you shift your energy, when you move from states of lack, limitation, and fear to states of abundance, freedom, and love, you are aligning your individual consciousness with divine consciousness. You are allowing more of God to express through you. This is the true meaning of the scriptural promise. I and my Father are one. You, I am, and the great I am are one and the same. The difference is not in kind, but in degree of expression. I recall a minister who struggled with this concept. Initially, he had been taught that focusing on himself was selfish, that to be spiritual meant to focus only on God and others. But through our discussions, he came to understand that he could not truly serve God or others unless he first recognized and embodied the divine presence within himself. As he began to focus on this inner divinity and shift his energy accordingly, his ministry transformed. His sermons became more powerful, his counsel more effective, his presence more healing. He wasn't focusing on himself in an egotistical sense. He was focusing on himself as a divine expression, a channel through which greater good could flow. This is the invitation extended to each of you to recognize the divinity within you and to consciously partner with it through your focus and energy. This is how you fulfill your highest purpose and contribute your greatest gift to the world. As we bring our exploration to a close, I want to offer you a practical approach to focusing on yourself and shifting your energy in your daily life. I call this the practice of presence. Presence means being fully aware in the present moment, conscious of your state, attentive to the feeling tone you are emanating. Most people move through their days on autopilot, unaware of the states they are occupying moment by moment, unconscious of the energy they are sending forth into the universe. To practice presence, pause several times throughout yourself. What state am I occupying right now? What is the feeling tone of my being in this moment? Is this the state that aligns with my desires and intentions? If you find yourself in an undesirable state, perhaps feeling anxious, resentful, inadequate, recognize that you have the power to shift immediately. Close your eyes if possible. Take a deep breath and imagine you can step into the state you prefer. Feel it, embody it, be it. This practice of presence, of conscious awareness and deliberate shifting, is how you transform your life one moment at a time. It is how you become the deliberate creator rather than the unconscious reactor. A busy mother of 3 came to me overwhelmed by the constant demands of her life. She felt perpetually exhausted, reactive, and disconnected from her inner self. I taught her this practice of presence to pause throughout her day, become aware of her state, and shift when necessary. She began to notice how often she was in a state of tension and hurry, even when there was no need for it. She practiced shifting to a state of calm centeredness even amidst the same external circumstances. Within weeks, she reported that while her external situation hadn't changed much, her experience of it had transformed completely. She moved through her days with a sense of peace and presence that affected everyone around her. Her children became calmer, her relationship with her spouse improved, and she found moments of joy in the very same activities that had previously drained her. This is the power of focusing on yourself and shifting your energy. It transforms not only your own experience, but the experience of everyone in your sphere of influence. My dear friends, what I have shared with you tonight is not new. It is the eternal truth that has been taught by the great spiritual masters throughout history, though often hidden in parable and symbol. Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you." The Buddha taught, "With our thoughts we make the world," and now in our time we have the opportunity to understand these teachings more clearly than ever before. To focus on yourself means to focus on the divine, creative center of your being. To shift your energy means to consciously move from states of limitation to states of freedom, from fear to love, from lack to abundance. This is not a technique to be practiced occasionally, thinking it is a way of life. It is the deliberate conscious use of the creative power that you already possess, the power that is your very essence. As you leave here tonight, I urge you to begin immediately. Do not wait for circumstances to change before you shift your state. Do not wait for evidence in the outer world before you embody the consciousness you desire. Remember the principle, the inner creates the outer, never the reverse. Focus on yourself, on the God presence within you. Shift your energy to the states that align with your highest vision. Rest in the certainty that what you are conscious of being, you must become. This is law. This is truth. This is your birthright. And now, with deepest respect for the divine being that you are, I bid you good evening, knowing that the seed has been planted, and it must by divine law bear fruit in your experience. For it is done unto you as you believe, and there is no power outside of you that can override your consciousness. You are the master of your destiny, the creator of your life, through the wonderful human capacity to focus your attention and shift your energy. Thank you and good night. If you're seeing this, it means you've already been chosen by a higher law. It means something deep within you has shifted so quietly, so subtly, that the outer world is just beginning to reflect it. Money is not coming because of effort. It's not on its way because of how hard you've worked or how much you planned. It's on its way because of who you've become in consciousness. The moment you saw this, a signal was sent, not to the outside world, but to your inner reality. And that inner world is the only cause of what you see. You are not meant to chase money. You are meant to become the one who has already received it. You may not feel it in your hands yet, but it's already in your field. It's traveling through channels unseen, shaped by your inner conviction and clothed in the energy of your belief. The unseen precedes the seen. The invisible creates the visible. That is the eternal law. Do not ask when. Do not ask how. Simply know money has already been dispatched to you. Like a letter already posted with your name on it, it is finding its way. Your only task is to hold the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Feel now what you would feel if it were already here. And I tell you, that feeling is the bridge to its arrival. You are not here to hope or wish or beg. You are here to create. And creation begins with acceptance, with the assumption that what you desire is already yours. For money to find you, you must stop searching for it and start becoming the one who it naturally flows to. This is your confirmation. If you're seeing this, money is already on its way. Don't disturb the process with doubt. Don't slow it with worry. Walk in the knowing. Breathe as the person who already has it. Act as if it is normal for abundance to find you, because it is. Your thoughts are instructions. Your imagination is the blueprint. Your feeling is the magnet. You've placed the order and the universe has already confirmed it. There's nothing left to do except to dwell in the reality where it's already done. So now, relax, give thanks, smile with confidence. Because if you're seeing this, money is already on its way to you. What you believe to be true about yourself becomes your experience. This is not a poetic idea, nor is it a hopeful philosophy. It is a law. As you accept something inwardly, as you give it the dignity of truth within your consciousness, the world begins to reflect it faithfully. The outer world is not separate from you. It is the mirror of your inner convictions, your assumptions, your beliefs. Life does not respond to your words or your wishes, but to the core truths you hold about yourself in the silence of your own being. You may think you want wealth, love, peace, or success, but if your self-concept denies it, if your internal image of yourself is poor, undeserving, unworthy, or unseen, you will only attract confirmations of that. No matter how hard you work or how desperately you pray, if the belief behind your actions is one of lack or inferiority, that will shape your results. You cannot receive what you have not accepted as true about yourself. You will never rise above the concept you hold in your imagination of who you are. This is the great secret. The world is not happening to you. It is happening from you. You are the root cause. You are the source. And everything that flows into your life is simply returning to you the belief you have planted and nourished within. There is no trick, no superstition, no magic beyond this. Whatever you claim is true in your imagination, you will experience with your senses, whether in joy or sorrow. Think now the story you have been telling yourself. Do you walk through life as someone who's always behind, always missing out, always struggling? That is not the truth of who you are, but it becomes your reality if you persist in that belief. Have you told yourself that money is hard to come by, that you are invisible in love, that you are too damaged, too late, too far gone? These thoughts do not come from the world. Once believed, they must be played out in your life as experience. Your consciousness is the stage, and whatever you rehearse within it must be performed on the screen of life, no exception. The world is not selective. It does not reward the good and punish the bad. It reflects the belief always. That is why two people can live under the same conditions and one thrives while the other suffers. One believes they are chosen, blessed, worthy, and so life says yes. The other believes they are cursed, overlooked, forgotten, and life says yes to that too. Not because the universe has favorites, but because it has laws. To change your life, you must change your belief about yourself. You must dare to believe you are already the person you desire to become, not someday, now, in this very moment. Even if your senses tell you otherwise, even if your bank account whispers lack, even if your relationships echo rejection, these things are not final. They are echoes of old beliefs. They are remnants of past assumptions. If you want a new experience, you must stop feeding the old story. Begin now to speak to yourself differently, not with empty affirmations, but with inner conviction. Look in the mirror of your soul and tell yourself what is true. I am wealthy. I am loved. I am powerful. I am whole. Not because the world has confirmed it, but because you have. You must believe it before you see it. That is the law, as within, so without. You are never stuck. You are never helpless. You are simply experiencing what you have believed. The moment you change your belief, everything begins to rearrange. Doors open. People shift. Opportunities appear not because they were not there before, but because your eyes were not open to them. The inner shift reveals the outer blessing. It is never about forcing the world to give you what you want. It is always about becoming the one who already has it. When you believe in your own worth, when you walk as the one who is already chosen, already successful, already loved, then life must rise to meet that belief. You are not here to chase reality. You are here to create it. And you create it not by effort or struggle, but by what you claim to be true about yourself. So if you want to change your life, start there, not outside, but inside, in the secret place, in the silence. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Rest in the truth of your new identity. For what you believe to be true about yourself, quietly, faithfully, and persistently will become your experience. Money responds to your inner state, not your effort. This truth may seem offensive to those who have been conditioned to believe that hard work alone is the path to wealth. Society often tells us that effort is everything. Wake up early, grind without rest, sacrifice sleep, and eventually you'll be rewarded. But how many people do you know who work tirelessly with all their strength and time and still find themselves struggling financially? And how many others seem to attract money with ease, with less visible struggle, yet always seem to have more than enough? The difference is not in what they do, it's in how they feel. It's in the inner state from which they act. Your relationship with money is not built by your hands, but by your mind. It is your beliefs, assumptions, and emotional tone about money that dictate how it flows into your life. If deep down you believe that money is hard to come by, then no matter how many hours you work or how many projects you start, your reality will confirm that belief. You'll find yourself in situations that mirror your inner struggle. Delays, unexpected expenses, and lack will follow you, not because you aren't trying, but because your inner state is one of scarcity. On the other hand, when a person assumes wealth as natural as their divine right, as something that flows freely into their life, they carry an energy that attracts money like a magnet. They are not desperate, they are not anxious. Their actions may even appear simple or minimal, but the results are extraordinary. Why? Because the energy behind their actions is aligned with abundance, not lack. The universe does not respond to the action itself. It responds to the state from which the action comes. It's not that effort has no value, but effort without alignment becomes empty. You can run on a treadmill for years and never get anywhere if your thoughts are stuck in limitation. You must understand that money, like all things, responds to vibration. It responds to feeling. It responds to the state of being you embody most consistently. You don't need to chase money. You need to become the version of yourself that money is already trying to reach. When your inner world is saturated with wealth, when you feel prosperous, even if your wallet says otherwise, then you are beginning to shift reality. Money begins to show up in unexpected ways. You find yourself at the right place at the right time. The path opens. Why? Because you changed internally. You began to walk as the person who already receives money. And so life had no choice but to rearrange itself to match that. Effort born from fear, from desperation, from not enough, will never lead to lasting abundance. It may produce temporary results, but they will not last because the core belief, the inner state, remains rooted in lack, and the law is clear, as within, so without. When you shift from I have to work hard to survive to I am already abundant, and my actions are just expressions of that truth, then you begin to operate from power, not panic. Then effort becomes joyful, not burdensome, inspired, not forced. Money doesn't come because you deserve it more than someone else. It comes because your consciousness is ready to receive it. If your inner self-image is still small, if you still see money as something outside of you, something to be earned with pain and stress, then you are holding it away from you. Money is not your enemy, it's not your master, it is your servant, and it serves the image you hold of yourself. So ask yourself not what more you can do, but who you are being. Are you being the person who expects wealth, who welcomes it, who feels worthy of it, who believes it comes easily, or are you being the one who doubts, who worries, who chases, but never quite catches? Your inner state is the soil, money is the fruit. You cannot reap abundance from seeds of scarcity. The most powerful shift you can make is not to increase your hustle, but to upgrade your identity. Walk as the person who already has what you desire, speak like them, think like them, feel like them, and you will find that money begins to appear, not because of how hard you tried, but because of who you dared to become within. Money responds to your inner state, always, and when your inner world is rich, peaceful, and confident, your outer world cannot help but follow. The feeling of wealth must come before the evidence of it. This is the hidden order of creation that many overlook. We are conditioned to wait for external proof before granting ourselves the internal permission to feel rich, secure, or abundant, but the truth is reversed. It is the inner acceptance, the quiet conviction that you are already wealthy, that precedes and attracts the outward signs of wealth. Life is not waiting to reward your hard work with a paycheck. It is waiting to mirror the truth you dare to hold in your imagination. When you feel poor, even in the presence of money, you will lose it. When you feel rich, even in the absence of money, it will find you. Why? Because the outer world must conform to your inner state. It cannot do otherwise. Your reality is a faithful servant of your consciousness. It is not influenced by the words you speak, but by the assumptions you carry. You can say, I am wealthy 1,000 times, but if you feel lack, worry, or fear underneath, that is the message being heard and returned. So what does it mean to feel wealthy before the evidence arrives? It means to step into the emotional state of already having. It means to abandon the waiting, the striving, the searching, and instead to rest in the knowing that it is already yours, not someday. Now, right here in this moment, you carry within you the power to become whatever you assume yourself to be. If you feel rich, regardless of your current circumstances, you begin to radiate the signal of abundance, and the world must respond. This is not delusion. It is not fantasy. It is the creative law at work. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. You cannot fool life. You cannot pretend to be rich while secretly holding on to lack in your heart. It will always expose the deeper truths. That is why the inner work is everything. You must purify your inner world until your dominant feeling is one of wholeness, gratitude, and sufficiency. Then, and only then, will the outer world rearrange to reflect it. But this requires discipline. It requires you to reject the evidence of the senses and trust the evidence of your imagination. The senses may show a small bank account, unpaid bills, or lifestyle you wish to escape, but you must not bow to appearances. Appearances are just the shadows of old beliefs. They are not permanent. They are not reality. The only true reality is what you are imagining and feeling now. If you continue to feel poor, worried, or envious of others, you will continue to create more situations that echo those feelings. But if you deliberately cultivate the feeling of, I have more than enough, if you begin to move through the world as if wealth is normal for you, then that feeling becomes a new seed. And seeds, when watered by faith and repetition, must grow into visible form. The key is to practice this feeling in the quiet moments when no one is watching, when you are not being tested by the world. Imagine walking into a room knowing you can afford anything. Imagine opening your wallet and knowing it is always full. Imagine paying for something without checking your account, because abundance is your nature. Feel that deeply. Live in it, not as a dream, but as a reality already unfolding. Your mind will resist. It will remind you of the facts. It will scream. But look at the bills, look at the bank statement. But facts change. They are not eternal. Your current situation is just a reflection of past thinking. It has no power unless you give it power. The only thing that is real, the only thing that creates, is the feeling you accept is true now. So take back your power. Stop waiting for the world to give you permission to feel rich. Give it to yourself right now. Wear it like a coat. Let it influence how you walk, how you speak, how you think. The evidence will come, not because you chased it, but because you became the person who always had it. That is the secret of all manifestation. It is not a process of achieving, but of assuming. You become what you believe, and you attract what you feel. The feeling of wealth is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is not fantasy. It is foundation. Build your world on that inner conviction, and life will pour into your hands the visible proof. But the proof comes last. The feeling comes first, always. You are not waiting for money. Money is responding to your assumption. This is the profound truth hidden in plain sight, overlooked by those who believe life is a matter of chance, effort, or external conditions. The mind, when rightly used, is not a passive observer of the world. It is the cause of it. You are not sitting idly while money moves toward you at its own pace. Rather, money is moving according to the assumptions you hold, whether you are conscious of them or not. Most people believe they are waiting for a breakthrough, for a raise, for a lucky moment, or a door to open. But the truth is that life waits on you, not with arms folded in judgment, but with infinite readiness to reflect back whatever you have accepted as true. When you assume poverty, life becomes a mirror of lack. When you assume abundance, life reorganizes itself to express that abundance. There is no delay but the one you create by clinging to your current self-concept. Presumption is not wishful thinking. It is not daydreaming or empty hope. It is a settled knowing, a quiet, unshakable conviction that what you desire is already yours. You do not beg for it. You do not chase it. You live from it. You walk in the world with the confidence of one who already possesses what they once longed for. And as surely as the sun rises, life conforms to match that inner state. This is why some people, with seemingly less effort, attract more wealth, while others work tirelessly with little to show for it. The difference lies not in talent or timing, but in assumption. The wealthy do not merely have money, they expect it. They do not worry where the next dollar will come from because they assume it will come. That assumption opens doors, attracts ideas, inspires action, and brings opportunities into their path. You may say, but I need the money now. How can I assume something that isn't here? That is the great paradox. To receive, you must first feel as if you already have. Your imagination is the womb of reality. What you plant there through repeated assumption and emotion must emerge into form. The moment you shift your internal state, your thoughts, your feelings, your belief, everything outside begins to move. You are not at the mercy of economy, education, or environment. You are at the mercy of your own consciousness. If you assume that money is hard to get, you will always be in situations that prove you right. If you assume that money flows to you with ease, even when you don't know how, you activate a new current in your life. Money begins to respond not to effort, but to identity. It answers to who you are being on the inside, and so the work is inward. The outer action comes later and naturally. When you change your assumptions about money, when you stop seeing it as something far away, something for other people, something that is limited, you invite it in. Begin by catching your language. How do you speak about money? Do you say, I can't afford that, I never have enough, or money doesn't come easily? Those words are born of assumptions, and those assumptions become your reality. Change your assumption, and your language will follow. Begin to assume you are wealthy, supported, and always provided for. Don't look for evidence. Be the evidence. Don't wait for the bank account to change before you change your self-concept. That is living in reaction, live from cause. Be the one who knows their supply is unlimited. Walk with the feeling of already having received. Close your eyes and imagine the life you would live if money were never again a concern. Feel that life, not later now. Speak from that life. Think from that life, and most importantly, assume that life, not as a maybe, but as a fact, because in the invisible realm of consciousness, it already is. Your only task is to bring that unseen reality into the scene through your assumption. You are not waiting. There is no delay unless you create one by doubting, questioning, or reverting to old beliefs. Money does not delay. It only mirrors. Change what you expect, and you change what you experience. Assume wealth, not tomorrow, but today, and watch how quickly life responds. Not because you forced it, but because you finally became the one money was always searching for. Imagination is the only channel through which wealth flows. It is not one of many paths, it is the path. Everything you now see, own, or experience once lived in someone's imagination. The phone in your hand, the chair beneath you, the room you're in, all of it existed first as a vision, a picture in the unseen, before it took form. Wealth is no different. It does not originate in banks, jobs, or markets. It is born in thought, molded by feeling, delivered through sustained belief, and imagination is the tool that shapes it all. You may think money comes through work effort, hustle, or hard labor, but these are only the outer appearances, the visible effects. The real work, the creative work, happens in the mind. It is the quiet rehearsal of abundance, the vivid inner scenes where you are already living in the wealth you desire. It is not about wishing, it is about experiencing in consciousness that which has not yet appeared in time. That is the secret. Whatever you experience in your imagination with feeling and conviction must eventually express itself in your outer world. The mistake most people make is believing that imagination is fantasy, something disconnected from reality, but the truth is imagination creates reality. It is the blueprint from which life is built. You cannot live a life of prosperity while imagining poverty. You cannot expect abundance while rehearsing scenarios of struggle in your mind. The outer world is simply a mirror reflecting the inner world, and the inner world is sculpted by imagination. So ask yourself, what do you picture when you think of money? Do you see difficulty, scarcity, and lack? Do you picture unpaid bills, rejected opportunities, or a future of just scraping by? Then do not be surprised when life delivers the same. Not because life is cruel, but because it is obedient. It must give you what you continuously imagine, especially when that imagination is mixed with emotion. To change your financial world, you must first change the images you hold inside. Begin to see yourself already in possession of wealth, not in the future, but now. Feel the weight of money in your hands. Hear the sound of ease in your conversations. See yourself living the life that up until now you've only admired from a distance. The key is vividness. Make the scene in your imagination more real than the current facts. The world will try to convince you that imagination is weak, that action is all that matters. But action without vision is motion without purpose. It is running in circles. When you act from a state of fear or lack, even the most intense effort yields little. But when you move from an imagined state of wealth, your steps are guided. Opportunities appear. People are drawn to you. Ideas emerge from nowhere. Why? Because you've aligned yourself with the source of wealth, which is within, not without. The truth is, wealth is not something you acquire. It is something you become. An imagination is the furnace in which that new self is forged. When you imagine, you are not pretending, you are creating. Each time you return to the inner scene of abundance, each time you feel the joy of already having, you are impressing your subconscious with a new pattern. And once impressed, the subconscious will seek expression. It will draw to you the circumstances and people needed to bring that image to life. But you must be consistent. Imagination is a living thing. It must be fed. Not once or twice, but daily. Just as a plant needs sunlight and water, your vision needs repetition and faith. If you sow a seed and keep digging it up to check if it's growing, it will never flourish. Likewise, if you imagine wealth, but constantly cancel it with doubt, fear, and reality checks, you will never see it appear. Hold to the vision even when nothing around you seems to support it. Especially then, for that is when your faith is being forged. That is when you declare to life, I believe in the power within me more than the evidence before me. And life will respond. It always does. Not on your timeline, but in perfect timing. The outer always bends to the inner, never the other way around. So make imagination your home. Go there often. Build your wealth there first. Feel it, touch it. Live it in your mind until it becomes more natural than the struggle you've known. And one day, not suddenly, but surely, the world will catch up. The wealth you imagine will become the wealth you possess. Not because you chased it, but because you imagined it and became it. If you've seen the sign, it's already done. Your job is to align, not chase. The moment you receive a sign, a glimpse, or even a whisper of the thing you desire, it is not a future promise. It is a present confirmation. You are not being teased by the universe. You are being shown what already exists for you in the unseen. Your job is not to beg for it, strive for it, or run after it like it's slipping away. Your only task is to align your inner world to the reality that it is already yours. What does it mean to align? It means to accept the end as Donald, to live in the state of already having, to think from the result, not toward it. When you chase something, you admit without realizing that you do not have it. You confess its absence by your striving, and so it stays away, because life responds not to your effort, but to your being. If you are being someone who is still reaching, grasping, hoping, then you will live in that state of almost, of nearly, of not quite. But if you shift into the state of, I have it already, your world will catch up. That sign you saw, that dream that stirred you, that repeating number, that name you keep hearing, that image that lit a fire inside you, it was not random. It was your future calling you back home. It was your higher self reminding you what you've already chosen on a soul level. But here's the catch. Once the vision has been seen, it's about becoming the version of yourself who already lives in that vision. And you are not trying to get rich. You are aligning with the version of you who already is. You are not trying to find love. You are aligning with the version of you who is already in that relationship. You are not trying to succeed. You are aligning with the self that is already successful. This is the sacred difference between chasing and aligning. One implies separation, the other confirms union. Chasing is exhausting. It wears you down. It makes you question, doubt, and shrink. Alignment is peaceful. It centers you. It builds quiet confidence. You begin to walk differently, talk differently, think differently, not because of what you hope will happen, but because of what you've already decided is happening. Your thoughts, words, and actions begin to mirror the outcome, not in desperation, but in certainty. You may ask, how do I align? You start by observing your inner conversation. What do you say to yourself when no one is listening? Do you speak from lack or from abundance? Do you say, I hope it comes, or I know it's mine? Do you feel anxious when you think of your desire, or do you feel grateful? Alignment feels like peace. It feels like a quiet yes echoing within your chest. It is the surrender of doubt and the acceptance of truth. It is already done. Your imagination is your greatest tool. Use it. Enter the scene where you already have what you seek. Don't watch it like a movie. Be in it. Feel the textures. Hear the sounds. Breathe in the moment. Allow it to become more real than your current circumstances. Visit that place often. Dwell in the fulfillment. Make it familiar, because what is familiar to your inner world will soon become familiar in your outer one. You don't need to chase signs. You don't need to look for more proof. The fact that you saw it once is proof enough. You were given the glimpse so that you could become the one who receives it. Don't ask when or how. Those are questions of the mind. The soul already knows the answer now. It is already yours. There's nothing to wait for. There's only the alignment with what is already waiting for you. Alignment is not just belief, it's embodiment. Live today as if it were already true. Not to fake it, but to faithfully act from it. Let your energy speak louder than your effort. Let your inner posture do the calling. The one who aligns does not beg. They trust. They move in faith. They act with grace. And because of this, they receive what others only chase. So when you see the sign, smile. Don't run after it. Don't analyze it. Receive it. Honor it. And return to yourself, to the version of you who knows the way. Walk in the vibration of already having, and the world will mirror back the only thing it ever responds to. Your inner assumption. It's already done. Your only job is to match it. Understand this deeply. You are not waiting for wealth, for love, or for success. These things are already yours in the unseen, responding not to your effort, but to your state of being. The outer world is simply echoing back your inner assumptions, your imaginal acts, your felt truths. When you saw the sign, the vision, the glimpse, it was not a coincidence. You are the cause. You are the channel. Imagination is your power. Feeling is the secret. An assumption is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Stop chasing. Start embodying. Act not from lack, but from the end. Walk as one who knows, not one who waits. And the life you once dreamed of will become the life you wake up in. Thank you for walking this journey within. May you trust your vision, align with your truth, and receive all that is already yours.